Hello everyone, and welcome to some more RPG Horror Story Cringe with DnD Doge. In today's episode, we have a tale about a player who has their character go down and calls the dungeon master a sexist for it. A tale about a game master that doesn't know how to make adjustments to encounters, and much more. So, without further ado, let's get right into these stories. A player accuses the first-time DM of being sexist, and in my opinion, unfairly. DM quits. By Reddit user BetterK5568. So, I joined a forming group of Dune some time ago, excited to finally play in that setting after being a low-key fan of the book since my teens. For those unfamiliar with it, it's basically Game of Thrones in space, for the most part. It consists of the DM and 4 players. We have a session 0 and create the small noble house that we are servants of in this. Our characters have the Lions and Veils discussion, and nobody red lights anything. The DM also notes that since apparently the houses use agnatic primogeniture and there is an all-female spy organization in the setting, some sexism both ways may appear in world, and everyone says that's fine. Then the DM just disappears. He just ghosts us, leaves the Discord, and deletes his Roll20. After a few weeks of disappointed confusion, one of the players suggests that she could pick up GMing so we could run the campaign that we had planned. She warns that she's a first-time DM though, and says that her campaign will inherit the session 0 of the former DM. The first few sessions go amazingly. We have a group of Janaz Swordmaster Troy, Think Fighter, a descendant noble heir, Adis, played by me. Think a noble. My superpower is to be rich. And a guild agent, Micah. Rogue? Probably rogue. The DMs, Ben Gesserit Eugenia, a spy sorceress, sometimes makes an appearance to tell some information, or something, but stays away for most of the time. If the DM had not told us that it was her first time DMing, I'd have never known. Then things start to look less nice. First, we all crash land into the desert, and a bunch of Fremen say that we trespass. The DM warns us that they're very dangerous, and we shouldn't even try to fight them, because we'd be TPK'd. To be fair, we did trespass, but that was not our intention. Micah suggests that we give Adis, my character, to them in exchange for safe passage for the others, because he's useless. My character obviously does not think that this is such a great idea, and neither does Troy, who is paid for Adis staying alive. While Adis, Eugenia, and Troy are trying to negotiate with the Fremen, Micah just grows bored and attacks them. Before he can, Eugenia, that's the DM's NPC, uses her powers to make him stop before the blow lands, and tries to explain the matter away. Micah gets really mad at her for this, and the Fremen NPCs agree to settle that matter by a duel. Troy offers that he could fight in Micah's stead, but Micah refuses, and Micah gets killed. Micah's player gets really mad at this, saying that player characters should be able to survive a simple duel against a red shirt NPC, and that DM is being overly vindictive. DM points out that Micah was not really adept at combat, and the guy that he fought in turn was. Next session, we reach our actual destination, and Micah's player has a new character, a financial advisor called Wayne. We're supposed to just do some trade negotiations, but we start noticing ominous things, and at some point, Eugenia goes missing, and we get reason to strongly suspect something's happened to her. Now, Wayne/Micah starts to, out of character, rant to the DM, asking if she knows that shoehorning the campaign into a damsel in distress plot is sexist. DM says she's just trying to prevent the NPC from stealing the spotlight, and that we don't even have to go after her if the player characters wouldn't care about her. Adis sends Troy to look for her, and Wayne spends the whole session trying to sabotage him from finding her, but Troy ends up finding her anyway. Micah/Wayne gets even madder and calls out the DM for making every female character a wish fulfillment sexy lamp, whatever that means. It remains unclear whoever's wish fulfillment Eugenia supposedly is. The DM points out a few counterexamples of her female NPCs other than Eugenia, but Micah goes on, and legit just doesn't let her or anyone else even respond. Troy, multiple times, tells him to shut the F up, but unsurprisingly, he doesn't listen to him either. DM finally just disconnects from Discord and writes a text about how she's sorry and hopes for understanding, given it's her first attempt, and hopes we enjoyed the rest of it anyways, kind of implying that it's over, even if the story is far from finished. I really don't think that Micah really gave a crap about any sort of sexism in the game, especially since that claim didn't really hold much water. I think he was just salty about his first character dying, and just wanted to give this first-time DM a hard time. Hopefully, OP and the DM can come together and start the game up again, as it seemed like everyone else besides Micah was having fun. Let's move on. Called Sexist for Downing a Character, by Reddit user Lutiev. So, I was the DM running a homebrew campaign. There were 3 players, and we were all friends. We were playing over Discord and on Roll20. There was a bard, the only female player in real life, a ranger, and a barbarian. So, the party was camped near a forest. It was dangerous, but the adventurers didn't know that, and their quest giver was really evil and trying to kill them. I roll up a random encounter, and also rolled randomly to see who was on watch, and it turned out to be the bard. She rolls a low perception, but I have her hear sounds coming from the bushes. I specifically say that the sounds sound like goblinoids, and I roleplay some goblin gibberish. Though she doesn't wake anyone up, and just says, "I'll walk up to the bushes where the sound is coming from." I ask her, "Are you sure that's what you want to do?" And she insists that that indeed is what she does. And the goblins, 4 of them, begin to shoot her and she goes down. I figured that that would be a good learning experience, so she would wake up her teammates next time. But I later learned that she said that I was targeting her because she was female. This was not the case. My job as a DM is to give the players a challenge. Not too difficult, but still a challenge nonetheless. Oh, look, another story about a player claiming sexism for not liking losing in the game. I'd say that that is pretty presumptuous of that bard player to call the DM sexist, just for one instance of her character going down, instead of accepting that perhaps not waking up her party members might have been the issue. Let's move on. And as we're about halfway through the video, you know what that means. It's time for a kitty break.
Like, comment and subscribe. I really like this window.
Ah, there we go. That's a bit better. Now, let's get on to the next one. DM implies my character might suffer SA. Bashes her head in when I object. By Reddit user, Who's Your Jedi? For context, this game happened on a Discord server, mainly for DMing as a service. However, you can join free trial games run by people looking to become paid DMs for free. That was what was happening with this game, and one of the staff's DMs was sitting in to observe the auditioning DM. This will be relevant later. Anyway, this game was pitched as having room for 6 players, but only 3 showed up. I'll call the other 2 players Fighter and Cleric. So, we start off, and the DM is a bit dry describing things, but it's not awful. We go to a castle and get a mission to find a noblewoman who is missing and likely kidnapped. During this, the DM has to stop frequently to figure out where he is in his notes, and is often dully reading stuff off of a page. It was like having the most boring English teacher in the world DM for you. There is some roleplay here that was fun, mostly because Fighter and Cleric were leaning into their characters well. The DM made an effort, but the characters we did talk to weren't very interesting, and there was yet more losing his place and just reciting text boxes on the DM's part. We roll super well on an investigation, and the DM tells us that we got a point of renown. but never explains what that is. I just wanted to get on with the adventure, so I don't push to know what renown means. And spoiler, it never became important. Jumping ahead, we get into a confrontation with a group that we initially think are bandits, but are in fact a rival party, also looking to collect the reward for finding the noblewoman. During the fight, DM can't figure out how to work Roll20, and we the players, and the observing DMs, have to step in and help. This took a painfully long time. In any case, a fight breaks out, and Cleric rolls crazy good on a spell and vaporizes the rival's leader. His goons flee, and we feel pretty good about ourselves. Though the good times were not to last. It was about this time when the staff DMs left. This is also important. We eventually catch up to the kidnappers in a mine, and a fight breaks out. Then, the remaining rivals show up and also want to kill us. While this could be interesting under some circumstances, here, this created a problem. Our 3 level 2 characters were now outnumbered more than 3 to 1. I asked the DM if the number of enemies for this fight had been adjusted for the number of players who actually showed up, to which he said only, "Possibly." It soon became clear that actually meant no, as our characters start to get overwhelmed. Which brings us to the core of this horror story. My female archer got knocked out by a random thug, who starts dragging her away. The DM says someone should help her before something bad happens. My mind instantly thought that he was implying SA, and when I shared the story with my Sunday group, I saw their eyes get wide at those words, so I know this wasn't just me jumping to the worst possible interpretation. Anyway, while that is going on, the fight continues, and Cleric and Fighter are doing well. But eventually Cleric goes down. At that point, Fighter snaps at the DM that this fight is clearly designed for a bigger group, and that there's no way 3 level 2 characters could win against this many enemies. But then, the DM snaps that he's just running the module as written. Since we're voicing complaints, I say that I agree with Fighter, and then bring up the SA thing. I'm pretty sure my exact words were, "I didn't appreciate the implication that my character might get SA'd. That's messed up, man." To which, the DM replied, and I quote, "Whatever, he stops dragging her and bashes her in the head with his club instead." At this point, I was done with the guy, and damn near quit the game right then and there. But I had already decided that I was going to complain about this DM to the server staff, so I figured I might as well stay to the end. Anyway, an attack on a character with 0 HP counts as 2 failed death saves, so I marked that on my sheet. She failed her next death save, so it was rest in peace for my archer. Anyway, Fighter and Cleric continued to voice their complaints, to which the DM would just snap, "Whatever," and continued to insist that he was just running the module as it was written, and thus he couldn't do anything about the number of enemies or their actions, which is utter bullcrap. But this guy was a crap DM, so the lack of flexibility is not a surprise. Once the game wrapped up, I reiterated on the game chat channel that I did not care for the SA, or what happened at all, and here was the DM's response. "Never said that. At most, I was suggesting he was going to take you back and sell you off to somebody. Still pretty bad, I know, but these were never good people. Plus, I was just trying to give a reason for you to not get your head smashed in. And while this wouldn't have happened if it weren't such an unbalanced fight, it wouldn't have been so bad if you had just talked to the Houndmaster loyalist in the beginning. I didn't write this, and you have to understand that there are consequences." At least he admitted the fight was unbalanced, but I didn't sign up for a game with SA or slavery, and selling a woman is just SA in a slightly roundabout way anyway. On the upside, the owner of the business saw my message and reached out to me. He was clear that SA was not allowed on the games on his server, and that they wouldn't be doing anything more with that DM. I've actually talked with this guy before, and he's cool, so I believe him. The next day, the observing DM also contacted me and apologized for the situation. He also said that the company wasn't going to be involved with Jerk DM further, and invited me to the game that he runs. It doesn't fit my schedule, but that was thoughtful of him. He also said that he thought Jerk DM had my character get her head smashed as payback for criticizing him, so it would be officially ruled that she survived if I wanted to use her in future games. That made me feel a little better, as I based her on one of my favorite Fire Emblem characters, and I'm very fond of her as such. Anyway, that's the story, and I suppose it ended as well as it could under the circumstances. Thanks for reading. Yeah, that DM sounds like he was living on a prayer if he thought people would pay him to run games for them. I mean, I'm gearing up to DM for my first time, and I admit I'm a bit nervous about it, but even I know that if some people don't show, just to adjust the encounters accordingly. Then, it sounds like when the overseeing DM of the server had to go, he thought he had free reign to introduce themes into the game that no one agreed to. And he can argue all day that that isn't what he meant, but anyone with a little bit of gray matter between their ears can realize that that was BS, just with the way that he worded the situation. Though, at least in the end, the server staff realized what had happened, so they took care of that situation. Let's move on. My PC has a crush on your PC. You telling me out of game to stop flirting because you're uncomfortable is breaking my immersion. By Reddit user, Ninjun. I am the game master, and we had 2 out of 4 players missing for an online 4-shot campaign on the first session. For balancing reasons, I tossed in a character of my own as a GMPC, a chaotic neutral, gambling-loving goblin girl. One of the 2 players is a ladies' man outside of the game. He fell instantly in love with my player character and started instantly flirting to her in character. I wasn't entirely sure if he was flirting to her or me, as I've had to turn him down before, so I ignored him at first. Then in character, showed disgust at a tasteless joke, and then ignored him again. After the second session, we talked in voice with him and the second player who was present. I said that I wanted him to stop flirting with my PC because I can't separate it from real life. He called me a bad role player. He said that it would ruin his immersion if he suddenly stopped flirting, as flirting is what his character would do. He said stuff like, "Why would you think I liked you? God no, haha." Or, "No, I really like Flinks, she's hot." I explained that even if I know that it's strictly in character, it still makes me uncomfortable, and I'd rather have him not do that. He got super mad at me, saying stuff like, "You are ruining my immersion," and then called me boring. I listened to him talk crap about me for like 3 minutes, as the other guy tried to calm him down and make him see my side. He finally relented and said, "Hey, okay, fine. If it makes you uncomfortable, I'll stop. I'm not an a-hole after all." Yeah, that is a bit of a dumb reason to not listen to another player when they ask you to stop doing something that is making them uncomfortable, whether it's in-game or out of game. Yeah, it's roleplay and not above table, but like OP said, she didn't do well separating that type of thing from game and real life. And I can see that, especially since she said that she had turned down this player before. Her asking that to stop should have been the end of it, but for some reason, that player just couldn't let it go. Thankfully, he did say he would stop, but it was in a way that was extremely condescending. Hopefully, that crap ends there. But if it continues, I'd say it would probably be best to tell that player that perhaps another table won't ruin his immersion. But that is all the time we have for today. As always, I appreciate all of you, and may your games remain horror story free. Until next time.